Welcome to a new fantasy adventure on Dreamscape. In this dark short story, we accompany the slave Tavio to the magical forests of Valdoria, where his cruel master imprisons a young dragon. The biggest gesture you can give me is a like. If you like my stories, feel free to leave a subscription and activate the bell so you don't miss any more stories. Well then, let's dive into the story. The Flight of the Dragon Orkis. In the dark forests of Valdoria, deep in the heart of the ancient kingdom of Arrogantis, lived long ago a young man named Tavio. He was the personal servant and slave of Lord Barakan, a cruel and power-hungry ruler of this savage region. Since early childhood, Tavio served his merciless master on his remote estate, far from any civilization. Day after day, he toiled under the scorching Valdorian sun to keep his master's lands and castle in order. Lord Barakan always treated Tavio with extreme harshness and cruelty. Beatings and humiliations were the order of the day. But Tavio endured his fate without complaint, knowing that even the slightest hint of resistance or disobedience would mean his certain death. One night, Tavio was roused from sleep when his master's guards rudely dragged him from his chamber. With a grim face, Lord Barakan ordered him to be taken to the cellar vault. Once there, Tavio saw something that made his blood run cold. In one corner lay a huge black egg, as big as an ox cart. Cracks were already running through the hard shell and a low whimpering sound was coming out.
"The hour has come,"
Barakan announced with a cruel grin.
"Soon the most powerful being in the world will hatch and be subject to me."
Tavio knew what this meant. His master was in league with the dragons, those ancient, fire-breathing monsters long thought to be extinct. Now, apparently, a dragon cub was about to hatch from this egg and Barakan would make it his will-less servant. Dark suspicions crept over Tavio when suddenly a loud crack sounded. The egg burst open and out crawled a small, scaly creature no bigger than a dog. Flapping its tiny wings awkwardly, the baby dragon emitted small puffs of smoke.
"My little Orkis,"
whispered Barakan with delight.
"At last you are mine."
He grabbed the young dragon by the neck and held a mysterious medallion before his eyes. Immediately Orkis fell into a kind of trance and his gaze became glassy and blank. With a malicious laugh, Barakan tied a collar around the dragon's neck with the same mysterious plate.
"Starting today, you will obey my commands,"
the Lord hissed.
"Now show me your flame."
Orkis opened his mouth and spewed a jet of fire across the room, setting one of the wooden beam ceilings ablaze. Barakan laughed demonically.
"Excellent. With you, I will soon be the most powerful ruler in the world."
Tavio had watched all this in horror. He knew that Barakan's diabolical plan to enslave a dragon would have disastrous consequences. These majestic creatures, proud and fierce, never would they allow themselves to be enslaved by a mortal man. That night, Tavio made a desperate decision. He crept into the dungeon where Orkis now lay chained. Carefully, he took off the collar of the sleeping dragon. Immediately Orkis awoke and looked at Tavio from clear, intelligent eyes. At that moment, Tavio knew that dragons were much more than mere wild beasts. Softly he whispered,
"Hear me, noble Orkis. My lord holds you captive here, but I wish to free you. Please, spare me and flee this terrible place."
For a moment, Orkis just stared motionlessly at the young man. Then he nodded slowly, and Tavio felt a kind of invisible connection forming between them. With trembling hands, Tavio opened the heavy iron door and let the dragon out into the night. Orkis spread his wings and rose into the air. He looked down at Tavio one last time and emitted a long, singing sound before flying away and disappearing among the stars. Tavio knew that Barakan would exact terrible revenge as soon as he noticed Orkis' flight. But he did not regret what he had done. Instead, he looked up at the night sky with hope. Somewhere out there was now a dragon at liberty, thanks to Tavio's courage. And that gave him strength to face his own cruel fate as well.